Three, two, one. Welcome, everybody, to Geekvice episode 255, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph. That man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
We are back for another episode. I know it's been 2 weeks, and I thought my little description that I put in the YouTube video, that if you guys are listening on iTunes, you can go check us out on YouTube. And the little description I put in there I thought was actually really good. It says, it's been 2 long weeks of no shows, but we are back with an Endgame in mind. I thought that was really
Oh,
good.
you're so clever.
I was punny and everything. Oh, it was but yeah, so we're back. It's been a couple weeks. It's been a couple of long weeks and very busy with, me traveling and all this other stuff. And
Yeah, which is unusual because it's usually me traveling. So
yeah, well, and I'll be traveling again here in like 3 weeks, but I don't think it'll affect recording because I think I leave on I don't think I have to leave till Wednesday. I don't know. I gotta go look
what
it up.
days?
It's right before Memorial Day, so it's like,
So like
actually I might
the
have to leave.
22nd.
Yeah, I might have to
I'm
actually.
actually gone that week too.
Are you gone that week too?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to figure something out. Maybe we pop in a couple extra the week before or something like that, so that we have something to go up. But yeah, I'll be. I think I'm going up to Omaha. So for
I'm
some.
going the other direction. I'm going to Springfield.
Oh, there you go.
Well,
Fine.
Omaha will be a fun trip for you because you can't take I-29.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping by then it'll be open, but I don't
It
know.
won't be open.
No, that bad, huh? Shoot. Um, yeah, that's gonna be a miserable trip then. But I guess
No,
I'll
it's
just.
not. It's not terrible. I mean, it added an extra half an hour when I did it.
Oh, that's not bad then.
But I took I stayed on the Kansas side. Do not do the Missouri side.
Okay.
It's much longer.
So did you go like over to Lawrence and then up, or?
No, you can get to St. Joe. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the show. We're going to talk about how to drive to Omaha
Yeah.
from Kansas City. Um, you can get to St. Joe and then you cut over like on Highway
Oh,
32 or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Okay. Okay.
Then you take 75 north. That's not bad.
All right. I can do that. So,
Plus, you get to see some flooding damage.
yeah, still. And it's still raining, guys. It's still raining in the Kansas City area, just in case you cared. It's still potential thunderstorms tonight, so
Yeah.
it's like nonstop.
Just
Canceled
in
my.
case you wanted to get some sleep, now you can't.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, I don't really have a whole lot. Oh, I guess there is a couple of good things that came out of this long week of no shows. I watched Captain Marvel, and
About damn time.
I have watched Avengers Endgame. So,
Wow, we can actually talk about a movie we both have seen.
right. Well, I specifically made sure that I watched this um, for this show, so I finished it. I watched it last night, um, from 9 until midnight. So
Jeez.
this 3 hour long movie, it is worth the 3 hours. Let's just put it that way.
It didn't feel like 3 hours either, at least not to
No,
me.
no, not at all. I thought it was really well done. Um, so let's just jump right in because I already know this is going to be a long episode because we have a lot of stuff to talk about the show, and why not just jump right in? So I my initial response is, or my initial take on this movie was that it was really, really, really good. I put it, I would put it at the tops of my list. Um, but
Of MCU or just movies in general?
I would even go movies in general. I thought this movie was really well done. I thought it was very well paced. I thought the story was really good. I thought the, but then on the same side of it, I talked to a guy at work today. This just came up before one of our meetings started, and I told him, like, I made the comment that I really liked it, and that I thought the movie was really good. And he made the comment that it was not his favorite MCU movie. And I said, well, what is your favorite one? And he said Thor Ragnarok. I'm like, well, yeah, those this movie and that movie are two completely different movies, which made me think that that is part of the reason why the MCU is as awesome as it is. One movie is not the same as the next. You have these different types of movies in there. The Thor Ragnarok movie is just an action packed, constant fight scene, like just massive battle after not really massive battle, but battle after battle after battle after battle, fight scene after fight scene after fight scene, action packed. The story is there and it's, a story, but that movie is built around its comedic timing and action. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's two main characters, Thor and Hulk. What do you?
right. Yeah,
It's not gonna be a talker.
right, right, exactly. So, I mean, I thought that movie was really good, but that's not my favorite type of movie. My favorite type of movie is like Captain America: Winter Soldier. That's one of my favorite. That is
I
probably
think I think that's
still.
my wife's number one.
I was gonna say I think that is still my favorite MCU movie. But this one is more similar to that movie as a than the other types of MCU movies. Like this isn't. This is closer to that is the closest an Avengers movie has gone to that suspense drama type movie.
Well, and not to take anything away from Infinity Wars, which was a good movie, but this movie had to be this good, or I would probably have never watched Infinity Wars again
Yeah, yeah,
because it was such a downer that I needed to know what is going to what the end game actually is, so I can watch Infinity Wars and enjoy it for what it is instead of being depressed about 50% of the population being wiped out.
right, right. Um, so eh, as we I kind of want to get into the nitty gritty stuff of this movie. So I'm going to put the warning out there now. It is in the description. If you haven't read the description on the YouTube channel, it will be in the description for this on the iTunes or wherever your podcast is found. There will be spoilers talked about in this movie. The spoiler ban was lifted today because I don't know if you saw the new Spider-Man trailer. They actually had Spider-Man on there and say, "Hey, wait a second! If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, don't watch this trailer." So, um, we're going to talk about this movie. If you haven't seen Endgame,
Yeah,
don't watch or listen to this show yet. Go watch that first because there's some stuff in the movie that we're going to talk about here that maybe won't ruin the movie for you, but it sure will take some of the drama away from it. So,
yeah. I mean, the movie's almost 2 weeks old, so hopefully nobody's shocked by what we're going to say.
yeah. Now,
And even if you haven't seen it, I think you have a pretty good idea what happens in the movie.
yeah. Now,
So
and originally I was gonna try to go see this movie this weekend with my whole family, but as I was talking to them, they all said they hadn't seen Infinity War, and I'm pretty sure that just means they fell asleep while I was watching it because I own the movie. Um, so I'm pretty sure they all had. I thought we all sat down and watched it, but maybe we didn't, and it was just me. I don't know.
Oh, that happens in my house too. It's like, what did we do last night? Well, we watched this movie. Oh, I don't remember any of that. I
Yeah.
know. By the way, it was a good movie. You enjoyed it.
Right. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get that movie in so that we can go. I can take everybody to go see this in the theater because um, this is just really good. And like you said, the downer the um, from
Infinity
Infinity
Wars.
War led. I mean, it picked up in that down the melancholy
Well,
tone.
that very first scene
Oh man,
just hit you right in the feels, didn't it?
yeah, yeah. I a lot of critics said that they cried multiple times in this movie. Yeah, yep. It got me multiple times, and that first scene with Hawkeye's family turning, just vanishing. That was uh, that was brutal.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
that
even knew it was
scene
coming.
was powerful. It didn't get me. I got my allergies kicked in later, but
Yeah. Well, that was just the
uh
first time my allergies kicked
yeah, but
in.
that whole first scene when it started, it's like I know what's going to happen here. So I was prepared. I didn't
Yeah.
know what was going to happen. I just felt like
Yeah.
okay, I think I know what's going to go on. And it was
Yeah.
perfectly done
Oh,
again by the Marvel universe.
yeah. It was. I mean, it was great. So as we're kind of going through this, I don't know some of our favorite parts. You know what? I'll save all these little nods that I had saw. So when I watched this movie, I was watching this movie for two reasons. One, I wanted to watch the movie because I wanted to see how they finished this story out. But two, I was looking for little things. I was specifically watching for things that could lead to future movies because I knew
Yes.
that there was no end credit scene, post credit scene in this movie. I had heard that, I had read that on the internet, so I wanted to get. I wanted to look for anything that they could throw some stuff in there. So I've got a few of those that we can talk about after
But
we talk about the whole movie.
before we do, did you still go ahead and watch all the way through the credits?
To the banging sound at the end.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yep. Nobody left that theater until the screen went completely green, letting
yeah,
everybody know that's it. There's nothing else.
yep,
Everybody stayed. Nobody went, even though I, like you, read that there was no post credits scenes. Still
yeah,
couldn't just leave.
yeah. And on that note, that post credit that ringing of the hammer um to me, I've heard lots of things on the internet of like what they think it is and that maybe it's not the end of Iron Man. I don't think that is, to me, the way this was all planned out. That little scene at the end, that sound at the end of the movie, to me was bookending the Marvel, the MCU as we know it, this story arc, because that's all I'm going to call this. I don't. The MCU's not done. There's going to be more movies. This is just the end of the story arc, and
Yeah.
it bookended it perfectly because that sound is what started the whole thing, and that sound is what ended the whole thing.
Yeah. Some serious brain work was being used here because what has it been 20 years of this. You know what? I can't even plan out my meals for 5 days in a row. And they're getting details like the sound at the opening of Iron Man and the sound at the ending of Endgame.
Yeah,
That to me is just brilliant.
yeah, yeah. Oh, the score, the music to this. I mean, uh, it was absolutely incredible, and some of the stuff that I didn't even realize until I started to go and looking at stuff later. I was like, "What? Wait a second, was that the song? Oh, that's just perfect. That's just too perfect." I mean, just incredible. It honestly felt the thought process that goes into making sure this thing turns out the way they wanted it to, like, just it, I don't feel like they had any missteps. I don't feel like there were any missteps in this entire movie.
I agree. I have a friend who posted on Twitter that he felt like there was a couple of things he would have done differently, but other than that, he felt like the movie was perfect. And I went into the movie thinking about that, and I can't think of a couple of things I would have changed.
No, no,
Um, yeah, everybody wants them just to kick Thanos' ass and be done with it, and everybody comes back and it's joyous and a big party. But that's not good storytelling. So
right,
I
yeah,
wouldn't have changed anything. Even the stuff I'm like, oh man, that sucks that happened. I still wouldn't have changed that.
right, right. So, yeah, let's just dive right into the story itself. I
All right.
thought, um, because I want to get to I've got some of those too, and I want to talk about them, but I want to kind of we got to go through it at least in some sort of kind of think about it in a chronological order. We'll kind of go down the movie that way, especially since it's all fresh in my head. Oh,
That was me.
oh, okay. Um,
It's like, hey, there's this weird button on here, so I clicked it.
oh yeah,
It just took a picture of you.
sure did. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So the moral of the story is don't touch the button while you're recording.
Nope, it's all good. I just saw it like pop up. I'm like, what the heck? But it didn't hurt anything. We're all good. Nobody else even saw it. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, the beginning of the movie, we talked about the Hawkeye scene, and I thought that was great. I thought that was really well done. I also the other one that I thought was really good was the uh, seeing the how nobody had really recovered. I felt like, and I don't know, maybe I was wrong, but I felt like this movie, if you were to play Infinity War and then this movie like back to back, it would have just been perfect. Like you wouldn't have
Yes.
noticed anything. It would have just bled right into the next movie, and it would have been a 7 hour long movie. So, or
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because
you know, 5 hour.
the Infinity Wars ends with the pager.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nick Fury fading away. The next scene would be what happened to Hawkeye.
Yeah,
There it is.
yeah,
Yeah, it
just
just bled perfectly.
just perfect. Seeing seeing the Avengers like go after Thanos at the very beginning, like, hey, we're we're gonna go avenge him. We're gonna avenge everybody. We're gonna go get him and change it all. And Thanos just being like, it's done. Deal with it. Uh, like seeing Thor's reaction to all of it. Um,
Thor
I,
struggled, and that was at first you're like, well, he's Thor, and then you get to thinking about it, it's like, yeah, he's probably lost the most out of all of them,
yeah, yeah. I
even
mean,
before the snap.
right, right. Well, and the fact that he I mean, Thanos taunted him in Infinity War. Like, I mean, hey, you should
Yeah,
have gone for the head. Like, it, it was, and then getting Thanos getting his head chopped off by Thor and everybody. The look on everyone, all the Avengers' face when he did it, like, it wasn't like oh, good, I'm glad you did that. It was like, you, what? Now we have no shot, you know, and it really, um, it really flipped things on its head, and it continued that mindset that um, this is the end of everything. You know.
yeah.
It,
I mean, it would have been so easy, and I think everybody's expectation was you know what? They're going to come up with a plan. They're going to execute the plan and get everybody back.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way to throw somebody a curveball is they come up with a plan and it fails
Yeah.
spectacularly, and then you're like, oh shit, and then you feel it.
Yeah.
Then you can, the way they filmed, you know, the little cut scenes and everything like that, you totally felt the loss. Sitting in
Yeah.
that theater, you felt it.
Yeah. Yeah. And seeing and then going to the 5 years later thing, and you're seeing. I mean, well, even right afterwards, you have, I mean, Captain America uh, and Iron Man going at it. You know, you have those two just like, I'm done. I'm not helping you anymore. I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
peace out. And you know, Tony Stark just quitting. You know, you throughout all the movies, he's the one that's always that he's never really quit. I mean, even in Iron Man 3, not even the great, you know, not definitely on the lower totem pole of MCU movies, but even that movie, he didn't quit. You know, it was like, and in here, he's like, nope, that's it. I give up. I can't win. And
Well, that and he had the most to lose.
yeah,
Everybody else had already lost.
yeah,
He didn't. He had everything he wanted.
right,
And to re engage, he was the one gambling the most. And I thought
right.
that was a pretty good
Oh,
storyline to tell.
it was beautifully done. I mean, the scene, like, and that's one of the spots that caught me. Like, my allergies kicked in at that scene where he's sitting. They've come to Tony Stark to ask him to help them with the time travel thing, and he sits down with Pepper Potts on the couch, and he looks at her, and he's like, "I've figured it out. Like, but I kind of want to put it in a box and toss it in the lake
Yeah.
because I don't want to lose what I got." And like, as a parent, that was like, ooh, ooh, I feel it. Like, yep, that was the waterworks. Somebody turned the faucet on. So it was,
Yeah. The pollen count was pretty high in this movie.
oh gosh, it was. It hit me in the feels a lot.
Yeah.
And well, and I mean, we even jumped over some parts there, you know, because I mean, we jumped into Ant-Man showing up, and nobody even, um, when he came back and was had no idea what was going on, and him just like pulling the I love the scene of him pulling the wagon down the street, and he
Yeah.
yells at the kid, "Hey kid, what happened?" And the kid just looks at him with that look of, we don't even talk about it anymore, it's so bad,
Yeah.
and just
Like, are
rides
you
off, just like, oh
kidding me? This isn't funny at all.
yeah. um and then him
Well,
going,
and the way the power came back on, I thought was perfect because hey, it was a 1 in 14 million shot,
yeah,
and it just happened to be this rat accidentally hits the power and he comes back.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I dug that. You know, that could have been easily a no need to explain it. You know,
yeah,
he just figures out how to come back, and they could gloss over, but they didn't.
yeah,
They took the 1 in 14 million chance and played with it and said, "Here you go. This
right,
accident just saved the universe." You know.
yeah, exactly. And you know, I had somebody, I like the little things that when Scott, or yeah, when Ant-Man, Scott Lang, is talking to them about time travel, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna, you know, follow these rules where we're gonna go back and not do it, and it's basically just the Back to the Future rules. And he's like, time travel doesn't work like Back to the Future. Like, what? It's like, oh, that is, I love that. I love that little line. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And I thought that, uh, so that solved, that answered questions that hadn't even come up yet that you knew fans were going to bring up.
You mean
That,
about time travel?
yeah, about time travel and how's it all going to work, and how is like going back in time going to affect these other canon movies. when in reality it doesn't.
Right.
Like they still proceed the way they did, and except for the you know major question that got brought up to me while we're watching that is where's Loki now? Because he
They
has
didn't
the
affect his timeline, so I'm assuming he died when he was supposed to die.
possibly, or maybe something else happens. I'm really kind of curious because I feel like they could play with that. I feel like
They
that
can.
that scene where they go back and Loki ends up with the Tesseract and then disappears. I'm like, ooh, that could be fun because they could make it that he went somewhere else and used the Tesseract to, control another planet or create a following behind him, and then he can be a bad guy still in these movies. I just thought that was kind of cool. Um, but yeah, I liked the time travel aspect of it. I assumed that Scott Lang was going to be the answer. I assumed that time travel was going to be a major role in this, and I at least had those parts right in my
Yeah,
predictions.
same here.
But
The
those
trailer
really,
kind of gives that away, though.
yeah, that
This is
really
a
wasn't
movie,
that far
though,
fetched.
I wish I hadn't watched any trailers.
I
You know,
honestly,
the
the only part of the trailer that, like, of the trailers, the only one that I actually remember the scene in the movie was when Scott Lang is waving at the screen saying, "Hey, let me in. Remember we met in Chicago." Like the rest of it, there's a scene where Black Widow is playing with her gun and shooting, walking down the gun range and shooting. That's not in the movie. Um, like there are a lot of scenes from the trailer that are not in this movie.
yeah, but after the trailer came out showing Scott Lang, everybody's theory was, well,
Yeah,
Scott's going to be the answer. We're going to go back in time. So when the first plan failed, you're still watching the movie going, okay, we need Ant Man, need Ant
yeah,
Man. But if you
yeah.
did not know that piece going into the movie, just
That
think
is
how much
true.
more powerful that would have been.
That is true. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And yeah, that would have been massive. Um, yeah, because that first part would be, when they failed in their first plan, that would have been brutal. Um, some of the other parts that I really enjoyed, the I really liked the little splitting up into teams and going back in time. I liked the the way they brought Thanos back, like coming from like using Nebula, and I thought that was really cool and really kind of a neat way to do it because the entire time I was wondering like, well, is there going to be a big battle at the end of this movie? Because up to that point, Thanos is dead. If they go
Yeah.
get all the Infinity Stones and snap their fingers and bring everybody back, there might not be a big battle. So I was in my head, I was trying to piece together how that was going to happen. So I thought that was really well done of how they were going to do that. Um, it did bring up one of the questions that I have is where what happened to Gamora at the end of this movie? Because
Yeah, see, I want to know that as well.
Gamora comes back from the past into the present. There's the big battle. Then all the bad guys go away, but we don't see her. We don't see her go away, and we don't see her still there. Is she still there? Like, is Gamora back into these movies? Into this universe? It's definitely possible.
It is, and it's not the same Gamora.
Right.
Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Peter Quill tries to rekindle something, and she's like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
So
And she looks at Nebula and's like, "This is the guy."
yeah,
Nebula's like, "Yeah, I didn't get it either." So I, yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that could be a lot of fun and could do some fun stuff for the movie. But um, some of the things just to point out, I liked Stan Lee's cameo. Did you catch that one?
Oh yeah, that was great.
I thought that was awesome and really well done. Um, I really liked the um, when the Tony Stark, Captain America, Ant Man going back in time, their little mission. I loved all the little missions. I thought those were fun. They felt like little Ant Man movies. Like they're just little heist movies that they were that within this overarching movie, and I thought those were just well done. But I think my favorite one was Ant Man, Captain America, and Iron Man going back to the first Avengers movie and like going after the Tesseract. They end up screwing up and not getting that. But I love the scene where Captain America is in the elevator. All of the Hydra soldiers come walking on that you know are Hydra soldiers because of Winter Soldier, and he like goes to like he looks at Jasper, which he which dies in that movie, and he just whispers "Hail Hydra" to him, and ends up walking off with the scepter. Like I love that. I love the
Yeah,
scene. It set up for the whole elevator fight from Winter Soldier, and then it didn't happen. I was like, oh yes, that was great. I love that.
that was perfect. Yeah, the only buddy caper that wasn't fun, and it was the one that made my allergies kick in, was Hawkeye and Black Widow. I mean,
Yeah,
that was powerful. My wife was on edge because she's like, if Hawkeye dies in this movie.
yeah. Well, seeing that was a thing. Like I didn't want either one of them to die. I'm like, can we just put somebody else in there? Like,
Yeah. Well, I kept thinking he could say, I'm supposed to lose somebody I love, and he could say, I already have, three of
yeah,
them.
right,
But I think that probably wouldn't have flown anyway. But that's when I'm watching the movie. That's what I kept thinking is he's already lost.
yeah.
He could trade the Soul Stone for that, but it wasn't to
So,
be.
and okay, now and with that, um, it's a permanent thing. They can't get her back. But here's my question. So you saw the guy, the I don't know, the death character there was the Red
Red Skull.
Skull. Okay. At the end of the very end of the movie, Captain America is going back in time to put these stones back where they're supposed to be, right?
Right.
To so that those timelines, so no parallel things happen. They keep the timelines exactly how they're supposed to. Now, here's my question. Captain America went back in time to put the Soul Stone back. Does that mean he stopped Nat from dying, from sacrificing herself?
Maybe, but then Gamora dies.
Maybe, well, but Gamora never came back. The original Gamora didn't come back. She couldn't
Right.
because
And
you
maybe
didn't.
that's because he put the timeline back.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, not really sure how that works. I hope that they can touch on that. The other thing is, I really that's one scene that I wish I got to see because I want to hear the dialogue and the logic behind Steve Rogers walking up to the Red Skull and handing him the Soul Stone.
Yeah. That would have been something.
I mean, come on, give me the MC come on MCU guys, come on Kevin Feige, like give me that because that scene right there would have had to have that thing had to have been powerful. That scene could have been. Now it probably would have overpowered everything else that was going on. Like it needed to just be washed over. But that scene right there, that one stone getting returned, that's the one that I go, ooh, That's kind of a big deal,
It is a big deal, and plus it's Hugo Weaving. I mean,
right?
that man is amazing anyway. So you know that scene would have been just over the top.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, it's yeah. I yeah. Even if they just for the fun of it make a short of it, I'd pay $5 to see it.
well, I kind of hope that that's maybe in the DVD release. That's what I'm hoping for. Maybe some of the bonus things. That would be really cool because they make they did that with a couple of the Iron Man movies, and in the DVDs there's always some bonus like short videos. Some of them were like Agent Coulson and things like that, doing some different things. Like maybe, just maybe they'll make a little short one to go into the bonus features with the DVD. I'll take it. Um, the other thing, so kind of going back to the original heist part where Captain America and Iron Man decide to they screw up and Loki ends up with the Tesseract, and so they still need to get the Tesseract stone basically for the last stone, and they go all the way back to World War II, pre World War II, to before Captain America is Captain America, and take it from from Howard Stark's lab. I thought the the scene with Steve Rogers looking at Peggy Carter was amazing and awesome. I loved that scene.
You can feel his heart breaking, couldn't you?
Uh huh. Because he knew he couldn't stay. Um, and it also, I liked the interaction between Howard Stark and Tony Stark there. I thought that was really cool and really well done, and kind of like a um, thanks, Dad, for everything you did without saying it. I thought that was really cool. The other thing that I pulled out of there was, did you notice that Jarvis was there from the Agent Carter TV show? He
Yes, I did see him.
So, and I didn't realize this until I was watching some and reading some other articles today. Was that Jarvis, and I forget the actor's name, but that character, that is the first time in the MCU a character that made their debut on the TV, on a TV show for Marvel, has made it into the Marvel Universe movies. And I thought that was really cool that it was Jarvis that did that. Um, Kind of gives me hope that maybe they'll do that again with some other characters.
I hope so because there's some good ones on TV that I think would be awesome cameos or even part of a bigger story.
Yeah, I do too. I do too, because I mean, I'd like to see some stuff from some of the characters from Agents of Shield, like Mockingbird, make it into an MCU movie. Um, but yeah, I just thought that was really cool. Let's see, what else do I got in here? The so they go and get all the stones. They put together their Infinity Gauntlet, and they ended up having Hulk. Oh, that was the other thing. I, I don't know if I liked it. I thought it was okay. Maybe this was the part that I liked the least about the movie was the intelligent Hulk.
Oh, you didn't like
I,
sweater wearing Hulk?
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it to an extent. Um, it made it nice, but it's just not my Hulk. Like my Hulk is the Hulk from the first movie, where from the first Avengers movie, where it's just big, green, mean, busting stuff up. You know,
Yeah.
that's my
Growling
Hulk.
and yowling, and that's all he does.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe even like the Thor Ragnarok Hulk. I could have even taken that, but uh, I don't know. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, and it didn't take me out of the movie. But there were times where I'm just like, oh, um, I wanted a big, mean, bruising like fighter guy, like almost to where it's like, at the end where they put the gauntlet together and they're all trying to figure out who's going to do it, and Hulk makes this really intelligent, like, no, I need to do it, I'm the only one, strong enough, I'm built for this. I would have There was a little part of me that just wanted no dialogue whatsoever from Hulk. Everyone else is just talking and he just picks it up and puts it on, just especially if it was like the Hulk that doesn't, like from Thor Ragnarok, where he has like some intelligence speak but isn't the brainiac of Bruce Banner.
Right.
It would have just been like, you guys are all idiots. Let me just do this and just do it without anyone else stopping him. And, um, but either way, I thought it was really good. The so the final battle scene. Um, One, I talked about it before. I loved how they worked in Thanos and Gamora and the original, Nebula from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, making their way back to the present day. I thought that was really well done and really smart and how they played that out. I also thought it was really interesting the way they brought all the bad guys with them. Um, I thought that was cool to set that all up.
Yeah. I mean, it was going to be epic anyway, but then bringing everything,
Yeah.
yeah, just up the ante. It
And then
was, it was
all the good guys showing up. Hulk snaps his fingers and nobody really knows what happened, whether they all made it or not. And then all of a sudden, you start
Hawkeye's
seeing,
phone rings.
yeah, Hawkeye's phone rings. Then they get into the battle and portals start opening up and people just coming out left and right. I loved seeing Pepper Potts in armor. Thought that was really cool. And,
Yes.
maybe she will make an appearance in other movies. Um, I I really liked the scene in there where Captain America and Thanos are fighting, and his shield just gets crushed. Like, I thought that was really cool as well. Um,
Definitely.
and it gave a good homage. It was a good sign. For those of you that have read the Infinity Gauntlet comics, very similar, that same type of scene. Um, the shield is busted up by Thanos and the gauntlet in the comic book, but then it also is showed and kind of matched to Age of Ultron's broken shield that Tony Stark saw when he saw the future, which I thought was really cool. Let's see, what else do we got? Oh, I really liked. So, I, one of my favorite parts of the big battle was when um, Spider-Man has the gauntlet that they're trying to get um, to Ant-Man and the Wasp so they can take it back in time and put the stones back, keep it away from Thanos. And he's trying to get through everything, and all of a sudden, like, he gets like smacked down, and he's just holding on to this thing. And Captain Marvel flies up to him and is like, "Here, let me take that." And he's like, um, that's not going to be easy to get through. And there's this big, massive group of bad guys. And then you had all the female characters jumping in to help. Like, they all just showed up around her. I thought that was great, and kind of makes me wonder: is that maybe planting the seed for maybe all female Avengers team? That would be kind of cool.
That'd be super cool because the ones they have cast are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that whole scene, I loved it. I loved it as well. when it first started, it's like, holy cow, a girl power scene. But then you just forget it's a girl power scene, and you're just like, these are just badasses.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
every single one of them are really cool, except for maybe Mantis. Like she's my least favorite of them, but
no, but she's
um,
funny. So
she is funny. Yeah. But you've got Captain Marvel, who's super powerful. You've got Scarlet Witch, who's super powerful. I loved what they did with Scarlet Witch in this movie. Um, you've got Shuri, who is like the genius of the group. Like you've got Van Dyne, the Wasp. Uh, like I liked that group. There's a dynamic between those female characters that if you were to put them together on a team, I think that team would be really cool. Like
yeah, and it's too bad Black Widow didn't get to be a part of it.
I know, right? Which I still have my fingers crossed that she's not completely gone. But I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
just have
me
to
too.
see what
Because
happens.
out of all of this, my favorite duo is Black Widow and Hawkeye. And then that moment they share in the spaceship,
Mm-hmm.
it's like long way from Budapest. There's a lot of depth to that scene, and it's like I really want the movie where they show us what the hell happened in Budapest for
Right?
one thing, and
Yeah.
two, the way those two interacted with each other through all the movies. I just loved it. Just
Yeah.
absolutely loved those two together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm still hoping I'm still hoping for something there. Um the in the big battle, I thought the other really cool moment was Cap picking up Mjolnir and using Thor's hammer,
Yes.
and then Thor's response of "I knew it."
Yeah.
Like it was like it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, if you were to go back to that,
Age
because it
of
was Age of
Ultron.
Ultron when Captain America like budged it. You almost kind of wonder, could Captain America picked it up then, and he didn't do it because he didn't want to show up Thor.
Because
And
that would be a Captain America thing to do.
it absolutely would be, absolutely would be. So I thought that was really cool, and I like the part where I also like the part where they had each Thor had thrown the God Killer axe. Um, Captain America had thrown Mjolnir, and then like they switched. Like Captain America had the axe, and Thor had Mjolnir, and Thor like looks at him and is like, "No, no, no, let's switch that back. You get the small one."
Yeah.
It's like Thor still trying to one up Captain America. Like I
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Even Big Lebowski Thor was still pretty funny.
Oh yeah, and he totally looked like the dude, man. Totally. I, I mean, that was awesome. I liked that part of it. I thought that was great.
Yeah,
Thor was really good in this movie. Chris
he
Hemsworth was
was. And every time they showed
amazing.
his body, people in the movie theater would just laugh. And it's like, yep, they got exactly what they wanted out of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Thor with a beer gut, and it brought a laugh every time.
yeah. Um, so to kind of wrap up the movie a little bit here, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is again big spoiler if you hadn't figured this out. Fucking huge spoilers. Um, Tony Stark dying.
That
That
was the only way to end that.
it was the perfect ending, but God, like just tore me up. I'm just like,
Oh, me too.
I knew he had to, especially when he did it. Like when he stopped Thanos by pulling the gems off of one gauntlet and putting it on his armor. He like I knew what was going to happen the moment he did it, but it still just hurt. Just hurt.
Yeah, you knew it was coming, and it still didn't soften the blow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like having it's like having a family member that's, been in the hospital for a long time, has lived a long life, and you know that it's got to end at some point, they've been in the hospital for a while, and you're like, you know it's coming, but when they go, it still hurts. That's kind of how this felt. Um, and it really, not only for the movie itself, but in the way, for me, it was even just the finality of this movie, and that there will never be an Iron Man movie like there's been. There's never going to be another movie like this story arc. There's going
No,
to be more
and the wife
movies.
and I talked about it. We probably just witnessed something that we will never see again in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, okay,
Not.
so not a total sidebar, but a little bit. So we watched it on opening weekend that Saturday. That Sunday was the long night battle on Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the perfect weekend for watching some storylines. And that prompted us, like, this is the golden age. We will not see this ever again because we're not going to live long enough. Me and
Yeah.
my wife are not. You know, Whatever they
Well,
do in the next phase, I'm sure it's going to be good, but it's a lot to live up to.
yeah.
This
Well,
first this first run was just amazing.
so we knew at the end, like going into this movie, that some characters were not going to be able to make it out because actors weren't going to be able to keep doing this. Captain
Right.
America said he was, or Chris Evans said he was done playing Captain America. Tony Stark is getting to the age where, I call him Tony Stark. Robert Downey
Because
Jr.
he
is
is
getting to the
Tony
age
Stark.
that he can't be Tony Stark anymore, and they'd have to do something else. But those guys are so set for that they can't. You can't recast that. It's got to be
No.
something different. And I thought the way they did that was, like, I think the way they ended those two characters was perfect for those two characters. Uh,
It
Tony
was
Tony
because
Stark dying was impactful, and that's what Tony Stark's life in these movies was impactful.
and he had to die because he wouldn't have stopped.
Yeah.
He would have done something else.
Yep.
And the only way to really end that story arc was to kill him off. And with Captain America, it was obvious he would have traded anything to just have his life with Peggy, and he got it.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
perfect.
That was great. So a couple little things that I saw while in the funeral scene for Tony Stark's funeral. They show everybody there. You see Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, and you know all
And the guy I had to Google to find out who the hell he was.
the kid.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, Harley Keener. I did too. Like, I saw him and I'm like, why is that kid there? Like, why is he familiar?
Yeah. I
So
wanted to just yell in the theater, who the fuck is that?
yeah.
But I had to wait till the movie was over and Google it.
So if you haven't looked it up, that is, the actor's name is Ty Simpkins. He plays Harley Keener in Iron Man 3. He's the kid that Tony Stark hides in his, like, garage and rebuilds stuff.
Yep.
Kind of refines who he is. And that, so there's two things that came out of this to me watching that and seeing him there, and I'm like, I didn't know who he was at first, and then I looked up the credits and I'm like, oh, that's that kid. I'm like, oh snap. So that means two things. One, that kid survived Infinity War, which is pretty cool. Um, but
True.
what it means is he stayed in Tony Stark's life after Iron Man 3. So this is a kid that is somehow still connected to Tony Stark. And two, he is one of three kids that look to be about the same age. So you have Hawkeye's daughter, you have Ant-Man's daughter, who has grown up quite a bit because Ant-Man was gone for so long, and you now have Harley Keener. These are three characters that are young, say teenagers, young,
Yeah,
and
late
have
teenagers
connections to the
anyway.
Avengers. So when I looked up that guy, I was like, oh snap, we might have just seen our post credit scene during the entire movie. Because I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point.
if you want to do an Avengers movie, but you don't want to use the same Avengers, maybe you go like the comic books and you go young, and you go the young Avengers, and now you have Hawkeye's daughter as the new Hawkeye. He flat out calls her Hawkeye in the very first scene. You have Ant Man's daughter, have Scott Lang's daughter takes over the Ant Man suit, and now you have Harley Keener, who could be the next Iron Man. Maybe,
Yeah, I'm all for that.
could be. Never know. I mean, that that's the cool thing is right now we can look at some of these things and just be like, we can just pick stuff out, like just little things. I mean, God, would anybody else bat an eye if they were to come out in maybe a year or two and say, hey, yep, we set it all up there. Here you go. We're still going. Next story is these young Avengers and training up the next batch. Uh, could be really cool.
It
Really
would
cool.
be, you'd think bringing that kid back as a teenager, you know,
It's, it's got to
makes you
mean
think there's got to
something.
be a plan.
Yeah,
Why even bother?
yeah. That was foreshadowing the MCU way, like hardcore. That kid is going to be something later. You know he is. They wouldn't have had him there if he didn't. If he was a throwaway character in Iron Man 3, he would have never shown back up.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
mean,
there had to be a reason because they could have just left him out and nobody would have ever noticed.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, the other thing, while we're talking about, the end of Iron Man and the end of Captain America, I thought when I didn't even think of it at the time, but when Captain America is going back in time and they're like, oh, he's going to be back in 10 seconds, it'll be as long as he needs, but it'll be 10 seconds for us. And he goes to, um, he goes to bring him back and he doesn't come back. And I'm like, oh, like I was like, oh, duh. Why didn't I see that one coming?
Exactly. When he was sitting on the bench, it's like I should have saw
Yep,
that.
yep. And
Yeah.
then the moment that Bucky tells Falcon to go over there, I was like, oh, they even told us that was gonna happen with the little interaction between Bucky and Captain America right before he went back when he said,
Yep.
hey, don't do anything stupid. You're taking it all with you. I was just
Yep.
like, oh man, and giving Falcon the shield, I was just like, nope, there you go. Next Captain America is Falcon. Awesome. Like, I'm all
Yeah.
for it.
I dig it.
All for it. So I thought that was really good. And then the other thing that I really liked so was the interaction between Valkyrie and Thor at the end of the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
The fact that Thor was just like, you know what? I'm not a leader. Like, I don't lead people. I'm terrible at it. I'm not gonna do it. You're really good at it. You should do that. So I'm really kind of excited to see what they could do with that. I also like the fact that Asgard is on Earth now. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, but then I really like the fact that Thor is now traveling with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, and it's will the next Guardians of the Galaxy be called as Guardians of the Galaxy?
Uh, it, it very well could be, and I mean, or if it's still called Guardians of the Galaxy, it would be really great if it says like if they do it like um they would always do like Guardians of the Galaxy, and then like Volume 2 was like almost like spray painted on there. It'd be really funny if it said Guardians of the Galaxy, and they just put like AS in front of Guardians,
Yeah,
just spray painted on there. So I think that would be really cool. But I want to know, like, is Thor gonna be in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Because you know that movie has been tagged. It has a date to it.
yeah.
Um,
And if they don't, how are you going to explain Thor not being there? So,
yeah, I mean they could explain it away however they want. He
right,
stopped
but
off in some planet, but
I
yeah,
thought I thought Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth actually played off each other pretty well. So,
yeah, oh
you
yeah,
think they'd want to take advantage of that?
yeah. That I thought that was really good, and it allowed Chris Hemsworth to be that comedic that he sometimes does in his other movies. So I thought that was really good. Um, let's see. What else do I have? Do I have anything else in here? I think we might have actually talked about all this. Oh, so there was one other little seed nugget thing that happened earlier in the movie that I kind of forgot about. But in the scene where Natasha is sitting there and she's talking to Rocket Raccoon, she's talking to Okoye, she's talking to Captain Marvel and somebody else, but I don't remember who it was. There was Rhodey, War Machine, and they're holograms,
Oh
and
yeah,
and she's talking to him that way. And Okoye mentions that there is a earthquake in the ocean, and it's just
yeah,
just a quick little like, yeah, what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. There is a character in the Marvel universe that could be that this maybe could have been a foreshadowing of him becoming an MCU character, and that's Namor from the city of Atlantis, the Submariner. It's
Hmm.
possible. Could be nothing. Could have been they just threw it in there. I don't know, but
Maybe they were just passing the baton to the Godzilla movie coming out.
could be that too. Could be that too.
No, but
Uh,
if it is Submariner and all that, why the hell not?
yeah. I mean, they
There
need
is
new
so
characters.
much to
That's
tap
yeah.
from the comic books. So
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that could even be a character that they could go. I mean, obviously, it can't happen for a while because you don't want to just copy Aquaman. But um, it it could definitely, they could end up introducing him in something else, just having him make another cameo or whatever. Um, so yeah, that is what I have for my things from the movie. Now, something that I went and looked up today was what dates for characters we've seen in these movies have dates and have sequels for their movies set up. There's only four currently. There is Spider-Man Far From Home, which comes out here in a couple months. There's Black Widow is tagged for 2020. Black Panther 2 is 2021, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is June of 2021. So there's they said that there'll be a Doctor Strange 2, but there's no date really set for it. So to me, that you don't really know that it's there. Um, but what it does make me wonder is, okay, let's say they get through, let's San Diego Comic Con maybe there's more. Maybe we find out more, or the Disney whatever. I guess D3 is Disney's convention, but that's already happened for this year, so maybe D3 next year. We,
Maybe.
you know, because Marvel's always they've been big with, hey, here's the next tier of movies. Maybe they give us a year. A year from now, they come and then they come with us. Okay, here we go. We're starting back up, and maybe we see movies like Falcon getting his own movie. I mean, we're already getting Black Widow's solo movie. I'd love to see that. I wouldn't mind a Hawkeye movie, solo movie. That would be pretty cool. Um,
We are getting a Hawkeye TV show.
yeah. Now the other thing is Loki got away. There was a Loki TV show at one point that they were talking about doing. Maybe it'll be a Disney Plus streaming, um, series that they do. But that movie could, or that TV show could be back in play now too, because they could kind of do something from him disappearing. There's lots of things that they could do. I wouldn't mind seeing a Winter Soldier movie. Some
I feel like they're going to do something with that because, Sebastian Stan isn't that old.
yeah.
I think people liked the Winter Soldier enough. I
And and
think
honestly,
there's something there.
why not do something where it's Falcon and Winter Soldier and do a buddy movie like that with two
Heck yeah.
characters. You know,
I'd watch that.
yeah. I mean, two guys that had a connection to Steve Rogers, both in different times of Steve Rogers' life, and put the two of them together. Like, I think that could be really kind of cool. I mean, obviously, I really want to see Black Panther too. That would be
Right.
awesome. I personally loved the Doctor Strange movie, so I would love to see more Doctor Strange. But there's so many other characters that are there. I mean, even if you wanted to do an Iron Man with Pepper Potts, does she step in and take over? I want to see a new Ant Man and the Wasp too. Like, give me more of
Yeah, I
that.
do too. Spider-Man will be the first one that happens, after Endgame. And, I'm always curious what mindset they're going to have our heroes in their standalone movie. He's going back to high school, that kind of thing, after seeing what he's seen. So I'm sure there's going to be a major adjustment.
Yeah,
But what if there was a Hawkeye movie? Where would you go?
yeah,
This guy lost his family, pretty much lost himself, went on a killing spree, and then got everything back.
yeah.
It would be interesting to see what it would take in the minds of the writers to get Hawkeye to be Hawkeye again.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm Hawkeye, I I find an even further out of the way place than he already has, and completely hole up.
Yeah,
And it would take something major to get me out of that.
right, right.
So yeah.
But
So I'm curious to see how they handle the movies, like Spider-Man and Black Panther that we already know are going to happen. I'm curious to see where these guys are at when these movies come, when they start,
yeah,
because they just put it all on the line. All of it. They had nothing left. So what's it gonna take? what's the bad guy?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think that would be the fun part to this is just um, seeing what Marvel does next.
Yep.
There is a lot of X-Men movies coming out. I didn't put them on the list because I
They're
honestly,
separate.
yeah, they up to this point they haven't been part of the MCU, and honestly, these movies that are coming out with it, I don't believe are going to be really considered part of the MCU yet. I think these are movies that have already been in through the Fox rigmarole and not as much Disney input. since that merger just happened.
Yeah,
So I don't think you're gonna see the MCU. You'll see the MCU beginning part just like always, but I don't think these will be the same impact or handled the same way as the MCU movies. But
yeah, I agree.
I honestly, I can't wait to see what they do with that. I hope.
I mean, the trailer for Dark Phoenix is right there at the beginning of Endgame. One of the
Yeah,
trailers they showed before the movie starts, and it's like, okay, I like Sophie Turner. I like the whole idea of this, but I'm not super excited about seeing this movie because it is so separate
yeah,
from the MCU we're used to,
yeah.
which is a
Agreed.
shame because there's a lot of power in that cast.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so I'll still see it. I mean, that's just the way it is, but I don't have that holy cow, I got to see this like I did for Endgame.
Yeah, true. That is true. So, all right, everybody. Well, we have gone on long enough. Um, we might as well wrap it up here because that's the end of the movie.
Agreed.
And yeah, I was up late last night watching this movie, so I need to go to bed. So,
I
yeah,
think that's a good plan.
hey, just to kind of close it out, this is two thumbs up, 5 stars, whatever you want to give it. This movie is well worth going to see. If you have enjoyed the other Marvel movies, this movie is worth going to see. I would also say that if you haven't seen the other movies, if you just know what happened in Infinity War, this movie will like this movie will be just good enough for you. Like it's still worth seeing. Um,
Yeah, agreed.
if you
I'd
want to
say
watch
if
Infinity
you
War,
haven't seen any of the other movies, at least watch Infinity Wars and you're set.
yeah, yeah. So it's this really well done. I enjoyed it a lot. So 2 thumbs up for me. Go see this movie.
Do it. Do it now.
All right. Okay, everybody, go check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Kip Killigan. No, you can
That's me.
follow him at Kip Killigan. You can follow me at Geekvice. I told you, I'm tired. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go check it out. You could get to there by Facebook, or you could search for Kip Morph on YouTube. And of course, as always, you can reach us at geekvice@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody, for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next time.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.